All right, it's Karl Brauer, and I'm here talking to Bruno Senna, and you've got quite a special relationship with McLaren. Why don't you describe the relationship and how it's developed over the years?
You know, it's 10 years since I've been working with McLaren, so an amazing history together. Of course, there's a family history with McLaren that I think everybody knows if you know motor racing. So yeah, we started with a bit of racing in GT3, but also with an ambassadorial work where I was doing some events with McLaren, and then it sort of evolved into some car development as well. I didn't do as much as I would love to because of racing, but ultimately, you know, just being part of this family for that long and doing as much as we have with the brand is an amazing achievement.
And you've said you've done some development work. What has been some of the vehicles that you've helped develop?
Yeah, so started pretty early on. So first car I had contact with was P1 GTR.
Okay.
So that was lots of fun. It was right at the end of the development, but you know, we did a bunch of laps on the track, tried to sort of like finish the setup and everything. Then next car was a 675 LT. That was a lot of fun as well. Then we did a bit of 720, sort of like in the halfway term with the car, and it was really good. And then next up was Senna, and that was again not as much as I would like to. Racing was getting in the way, but I did 2 or 3 days in the Senna and trying to sort of like get the feel for the car. It was a very different perspective to all the other cars that I've tried before, and Senna GTR. And since then I haven't been able to do any more development with the cars, but yeah, we're looking into the next few cars to try and get involved a little bit more.
See, these are the obstacles that Bruno Senna has to overcome. I need to split my time between helping develop brand new McLarens and racing at the highest level of racing. These are the struggles I face, right?
Well, not anymore. Now I stopped racing a few years ago, so now I have some more free time.
Right.
I think with COVID, all the sort of developments and all the schedules sort of got a bit out of whack.
Right.
So it's a bit more straightforward from now on, and hopefully a few beasts on the pipeline. So hopefully we can do some work with them. And you know, it's a massive pleasure when you develop something or you help with something, you get people like you or a customer that get in the car and they love it, and you think, well, it's so rewarding. It's much more rewarding than I ever expected it to be.
Tell me like the philosophy that you feel like drives McLaren when it comes to car development and execution.
You know, from the technical side, we all know McLaren is all about lightweight, high performance, high power car. But I think the most important thing from a customer perspective is it's all about driver feedback. You know, we're speaking about it yesterday. We have the power steering that's hydraulically assisted.
Yay.
And you know, the great feel on the steering wheel. Really, for me, it's very important. I feel a lot through the steering wheel. Mm-hmm. Some people just feel it through the seat, but I feel a lot through the steering wheel. And these cars give me great confidence to push and feel the edge of the tire. Also, the cars, each of the cars has a bit of a different character. Some car manufacturers make cars that are sort of like the same, and that works because people know that they'll buy the cars and they'll be like, I know what this car will be like.
Right. But
McLaren's there, like each car is a little bit different, and each of them has a different character, and that sort of appeals to different people. And you know, from Senna, which is like track monster, really stable, you get 765, which is like really raw, really aggressive. You got Elva, which is also like this, but like a go-kart. And the 720, 750, which is like sort of going towards that direction, but more planted, more secure. Artura as well, more on the same spirit as 750. So really lots of different spirits and great cars to drive.
What one do you feel like resonates with you the most? And maybe there's different circumstances that you feel are better for, right? But which car of all the McLaren line do you feel like most represents your vibe?
I think my favorite car from like just my driving style is a 675 LT, so the first LT. It's like a go-kart. It moves around a little bit on the brakes, but you sort of like play with it and it feels like it's dancing with you. And once you get into that groove with the car, it gives you so much reward. You can push it really hard, and even when it gets out of shape, it's like super in control, and I love that because it gives you that extra boost and confidence, and the feel is super nice.
Now, I always like to ask people who are associated with the brand, beyond the brand that obviously you have a lot of connection to and there's a lot of vehicles you like within that, what are some non-McLaren vehicles out there, past, present, that you really feel like were excellent executions and you feel like have a place in history for the automobile?
I think you know, it's hard to pinpoint a few of them because there's so many cars that do lots of things good and some things that are pretty bad. But I think you know, the first time I drove, so just for context, I was like a crazy car guy before I started racing. You know, I started racing in 2004. I was like, I was loving Porsches, Ferraris, Lambos, everything. And then I got into a race car, and all these cars, I drove a few of them, and I was like, wow, they're pretty terrible. When you compare them to a single-seater particularly,
Right.
all supercars, they feel terrible.
Okay.
And then it came like, I'm gonna say 2015, 16, when like the tech on the supercars sort of like had a jump.
Okay.
And these cars became so accomplished that now they are actually really pleasing to drive, even on a racetrack.
Okay.
So of course they don't have the same feel of a race car, but they are getting there.
Okay.
So the first like supercar that I drove that I really enjoyed was the 430 Scuderia. I drove like the track version of it, and that was like a great balanced car, really nice. Now the current Porsches, they feel nice. They are, probably lacking a bit of steering feel, but they are pretty well planted and pretty safe to drive. Like they give you good feedback. They don't snap oversteer like they used to not too many years ago.
I wish they had hydraulic steering, but
yeah, but they're good cars. And the thing that sort of kills the cars a little bit for me is that they are heavy. They're getting heavier and heavier. Lotuses, they're still light, and you can play with them on the road because the limit is not so high. Mm-hmm. So each brand has a bit of a sort of an ethos to it, and I think the one that sort of like puts performance above it all is McLaren still. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the spirit that McLaren brings to the factory.
Real quick, I really like the fact that you talk about the weight, because I feel like that's the enemy. And it's crazy when you look at cars that are 20 years old and they're all down in the low threes, the performance cars. And now it seems like you're lucky in most brands to get a car that's below 3,500. You're very lucky. And even below 4,000 feels like it's getting rare. And I feel like that's unfortunate. And we know there's a lot more equipment on the cars, but there's also a lot more high strength steel and carbon fiber that they can lean on that would make the car theoretically weigh less. So the lightweight thing is a big challenge, and again, between hydraulic assisted steering and not electric, and the curb weight that the McLarens have, I really feel like that's what gives them the unique and engaging feel that they've got.
Yeah, I mean, when you think that comparatively, McLaren is a very small manufacturer, and we get cars with an extreme level of performance. And in some ways, I think when McLaren got in the game in 2012, mm-hmm. it sort of like pushed everybody to up their games. I would say Ferrari has upped their game massively from where they were around that time. And it's good because you see that the competition pushes everybody higher and higher. And, I think Ferrari is making very nice cars now with very high performance, which is, they struggled to do for a while.
Yes.
But, this is a shift in their philosophy. And I think McLaren is very much a contributor to all this extreme competitiveness in the market.
100%. Yeah, you see them driving the market forward in a way that's good, between the steering engagement, the lightweight, and the way the car performs.
For sure.
Bruno, thank you for your time, and please keep helping them make great cars. You obviously have the experience to help them do that.
I'll try my best. They know what they're doing, but if you can always give a bit of input, if it helps, then I'm really happy.
Fabulous. Thank you.